This is Cashing Out on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, welcome in a new hour, Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Sunday night, right on in to your Monday morning, starting your week the best way imaginable. Right here, right now with us on this ridiculous heater we're on. And no, I'm not superstitious. I'm not afraid to talk about a hot streak because all we do is show up, do our work, do our research, give out picks, and collect money. 24-6, last 7 days, last 30 bets. We're going to keep it going throughout this edition of Cashing Out as we look ahead on how to make money Monday. Ideally, on the diamond. No hoops, no hockey, but a great baseball slate coming up on Monday. How about this? I mean, this is a rarity for a Monday. 24 out of 30 teams in action, 12 games on a Monday. Last week, we were 15-4 on our MLB best bets. That's from Monday, May 12th, right through Sunday, where we are right now, May 18th, 7 days, 19 baseball bets, 15-4 MLB, 24-6 overall, including journalism. How about that finish? Can we talk about that finish since we haven't been on air since the Preakness Stakes? I mean, that was one of the most insane races I've ever seen. And I did not think, I thought the Preakness was a perfect race for journalism because you saw that horse was in the lead for a good chunk of the early stages, early goings of the Kentucky Derby, and the Preakness is the sprint of the three in the Triple Crown. So I figured journalism was best equipped for it. And what the Preakness is tough for, though, not the most conducive race for a comeback. I mean, what was it, Gosker, the number 9 horse? I didn't even have it on my radar. And shout out to the big boss over here, our VP of Talent and Programming, Mr. Steve Cohen, who did a guest spot on the network and talked about Gosker as a long shot that he sprinkled on, that he liked. And I mean, my goodness, a photo finish. I think Steve would have retired on that one. I think he would have ditched us here at VSiN if Gosker ended up winning. So we gave out journalism. We were on journalism. Ultimate payout wasn't as great as we had hoped. Was hoping to get 8-5, which is where, the odds were looking Saturday morning. Played it in the fixed market plus $1.20. Ends up going off 6-5, even in that range. I mean, the money was obviously heavily on journalism. It's not like that was a crazy long shot prediction I gave out, but it was another winner in what has been a week full of them. So we love it. We keep it rolling. A winner for Scotty at Quail Hollow PGA Championship. How about his third major, Mr. Scotty Scheffler, with the back 9 of all back 9s on day 4 at Quail Hollow. Just absolutely ran away with it there. A 5-stroke win over DeChambeau, over English, over Riley. I mean, Bryson. Everyone thought this was going to be Bryson and Scotty there at the end. And Scotty just asserted himself as to why he is on another level from Mr. DeChambeau. Although, I mean, hey, look, nothing to scoff at. Second place, $1.4 million in the bank. But Scotty Scheffler, I mean, it wasn't the best price. We were going off, plus 425 on the PGA Championship. It's tough to play a number that short, but, I mean, this guy, he's priced that way with good reason. He is just far and away the best in the world. Jon Rahm, I mean, if you had a top 5 card on him, a top 5 ticket on Rahm, my sincerest and purest condolences go out to you as he finishes tied 8th in what was by far his worst round. Didn't shoot higher than a 70 any day this weekend, and finishing with a 73 here on Sunday on day 4. It was a rough finish for Mr. Rahm, who was becoming a popular pick, picking up some steam as the weekend progressed. How about over on the ice? I mean, the Florida Panthers doing what I thought they were going to do, Game 6 to the Maple Leafs in a Game 7. And if you're the Maple Leafs, if you're Toronto Maple Leafs fans, I should say, you want to talk about my sincerest condolences? The Toronto Maple Leafs, it's starting to feel like we'll never get over this hump. I mean, this series, to go up 2-0 on the defending champs, you're going to South Beach, just steal one. Just steal one, and you can come home with a game 5 and a chance to tie it, or to take it, to clinch it on home ice. If you just steal one in South Beach. But that's why they say a series doesn't start until you win one on the road. Because the home teams took each of the first 4, and then Florida took one on the road. And that put the Leafs on their heels. And Toronto, I was shocked. I couldn't believe they went down there game 6 and won it. I thought they were DOA when they stepped on the ice for game 6. They had all the momentum in the world. You're coming home, game 7. I mean, imagine what the streets of, and I know it's the second round, but think about what the streets of New York City looked like after the Knicks beat the Celtics game 6 Friday night. Imagine what the streets of Toronto would have looked like after a game 7 win on home ice against the defending reigning champs, giving you a date with Carolina in the conference finals. Imagine what the streets of Toronto would have looked like. And first period, they were right in it. Second period, second half of the second period, they were toast. I mean, Florida puts up 6 goals in the final 40 minutes. Toronto just, the wheels absolutely fell off. Brad Marchand, they got to call him daddy anytime he goes to the city of Toronto. I mean, first NHL player ever to beat the same team 5 times in a game 7. 5 times in a game 7. He had a goal. He had 2 assists, 37 points, 34 playoff games in his career against the Maple Leafs. I mean, he just owns that team, that city. That's Toronto's luck, though, right? That's the Maple Leafs' luck. That a guy who absolutely just owns you is playing on a team, finally, the Boston Bruins, having an irrelevant season. Boom, 11th hour, gets traded to Florida. Gets traded to a team you have a date with in the second round of the playoffs. I mean, that is the Maple Leafs' luck. By the way, if you had a Marchand goal and a Panthers win parlayed, it paid damn near 5-1. Brad Marchand to score, Florida to win. His goal score anytime was plus 340. Panthers obviously the favorite, albeit on the road in a game 7. The Toronto Maple Leafs, man, it's just more of the same. Maybe they'll get him next year. Folks, do you want to know where the money's really going? Unlike other sources, right here at VSiN, our betting splits come straight from Circa and DraftKings, giving you insight into where the sharp action's landing. Circa, of course, known for taking big bets from the pros, while DraftKings provides more of a broad market perspective, meaning you're getting the real action, not just public money, but the kinds of wagers that move lines. See the percentage of bets versus the handle, every game, every major sport, helping you make smarter, more informed plays. Get VSiN's exclusive betting splits for as little as $9.99 your first month at VSiN.com/subscribe. How about the Game 7 in OKC? 2 Game 7s, both were tight early, and both just saw the losing team have the absolute wheels fall off. Saw the losing team crumble right around the halfway point. Thunder, Nuggets, SGA, MVP. He had an MVP game in this Game 7. 35 points. Started making it rain from 3 a little bit. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, more than anything, threw the Nuggets off of their game plan. They just stifled them defensively. Nikola Jokic, because Denver was down so early, down so big in the second quarter, Jokic, only 9 field goal attempts. First game all series, he didn't take at least 14 shots because Denver had to get desperate and go desperation mode, make it rain from 3, except the problem is they weren't falling. Just 10 of 45, terrible shooting from beyond the arc by the Nuggets. You take Jokic, you neutralize Nikola, you got a good chance at beating the Denver Nuggets. Let's hear from OKC's stud Jalen Williams on their defensive approach and what they did to get that victory.
Our defense is not predicated on us stealing the ball, you know what I mean? But it's just more about the approach that we have, how competitive and how right we can be, and how many how many rotations we can make. You know what I mean? Like, we're like trying to be as aggressive as possible and cover up for each other. And then if that results in a turnover, great. But, we're just trying to like contest every shot, rebound every time. Like, and you just kind of stack within our defensive like possessions. And then that's what makes us good.
I mean, this Oklahoma City team, look, some people could look at this series and say that it was disappointing, that it went the distance. I look at this and I say, I told you so 2 weeks ago. I said Denver plus 2.5 games at plus $1.15 feels like a guarantee. And I said Denver plus a game and a half, meaning the series to go 7 and the Nuggets to either win or lose. That felt great too at plus 230. And look at where we were, 7-game set. So I don't look at Oklahoma City and say, what a disappointing series. I look at Oklahoma City and I go, what a legit title contender. What an incredible team. How many different defenders can they throw at you? I mean, like Jalen Williams just said right there, talking about their rotations. I mean, they can slide and switch guys, and you have SGA and Jalen Williams and Lou Dort, best defensive backcourt maybe I've seen in 2 decades. And then off the bench, Caruso comes in. And then Wallace slides in. And this team is so deep, especially in their backcourt. And they can just throw so many different guys at you. They're so versatile. Caruso was guarding Jokic at times. Give me a break. And with his quick hands, he was finding success. This Oklahoma City team, this team is the real deal. They are unlike most of what we see in the modern NBA. More NBA up next. Our friend Tony Mejia from SportsIllustrated.com and Proline TV joins us. It's Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues, taking you through the late hours of your Sunday night, right on into your Monday morning, especially for our friends over on the East Coast. And as promised, we've got NBA playoffs going on. Conference finals matchups are set. Let's bring in our friend Tony Mejia from Proline TV to break it all down at Mejia Dinero over on Twitter. Make sure you follow him. Tony, before we get into previewing these conference finals, you, if I'm not mistaken, had a hell of a day on Sunday with this Western Conference Thunder Nuggets Game 7, didn't you? What were you on in this one?
Yeah, it was solid. Good ending to the conference semis. I was on the Thunder, thought that they would get it done, even though a part of me wanted a tight game and to go with Denver. But I think it sealed the deal when it was deemed that Aaron Gordon wouldn't play, and then all of a sudden he did show up and participating. Props to him. I mean, you have to be a special person and a special competitor to come out and play with a grade 2 hamstring. But yeah, I laid the points, so that was comfortable. And then I was on the under in Nikola Jokic assists and the over in Jalen Williams points. And Williams hit a big 3 to get that over right before he went and sat down, and Jokic sat down just before he picked up assists 8 and 9. So we were clear on all 3 for 3. We'll take that into the conference finals.
Absolutely. Jalen Williams picked the right day to turn in his biggest game of the series. Now we look ahead, OKC, Minnesota. And do we think this was the toughest task Oklahoma City was going to have, this 7-game date with Denver? How do you think Minnesota is now going to come out and handle this Thunder team? Do we think we could be going back towards 7? Or right now I'm seeing OKC in 5 as the shortest exacta on the board. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, a lot of people like OKC. It's a short turnaround for them, and obviously they get to stay home. But I had it at 5.5, and I see the early numbers at 7.5. So clearly, the odds makers are really favoring the Thunder here. Both teams won 2 of their 4 matchups in this series in the regular season, and you can't really take much away from it because Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert, I think, missed 3 of the 4 matchups. You didn't have Chet Holmgren for most of these. Holmgren's a Minnesota guy, too. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to a really tight series. I think if you were to ask me, I'd probably think that this series goes the distance as opposed to Oklahoma City just running through them. But it's really going to depend on Anthony Edwards and taking that next step forward, continuing to play the way he has throughout this postseason and really throughout. Once Julius Randle got back and really allowed Edwards to be comfortable as a distributor and let the game come to him. I thought Minnesota came into its own. So we'll see if they continue to do that. Certainly Thunder, rightful favorite. Of the teams remaining, Thunder the best home team, Timberwolves the worst road team. So OKC's got to take business at home. If the Timberwolves can gain a split in games 1 or 2, then I think we're in for a long series.
So, Tony, as we look at these these correct scores on DraftKings, OKC to win it 4-1 is 3-1. That's your short shot. Next up would be Thunder to win the series 4-3 at plus 370. Would you be intrigued in taking some of that plus 370, OKC to win it in 7?
I would take the Thunder to win it in 7 or Minnesota to win it in any number. Just take Minnesota at the series price for the best bang for my buck. I think it is going to be a tight series. I could see the Timberwolves pulling the upset outright, and certainly do agree that if we get to a game 7, the Thunder will be favored by 6+. So, really like those two scenarios the best. Thunder in 7 or Minnesota straight up series price.
I love it. My Knicks, Tony, formerly your Knicks, years ago, once upon a time, minus 145 on the series against Indiana. Last time the Knicks were in the conference finals, it was 25 years ago. It was Indiana, the year 2000. I mean, some people, I feel like the casual basketball fans are saying that this series is boring or, that it's not sexy. I think this is great for basketball. And I think the rivalry got reignited last year, and having last year's 7-game series in the second round sets this up to be even better and even more dramatic as a conference finals. What are your thoughts on this series, and ultimately, which side are you on?
Yeah, whoever's saying that needs to be committed or they're painfully young. My junior prom was Reggie Miller stealing that game, 8 points in 9 seconds. Pacers, Knicks is a rivalry that goes way back with a ton of history. And these are two teams searching for, the Pacers in their case searching for their first title, Knicks for their first titles in '73. So there's bad blood. I think the fan bases will bring it. And it's really going to come down to Tyrese Halliburton and Jalen Brunson and what they do in the final 5 minutes of games. Obviously, Jalen has been Mr. Clutch all season. Halliburton went scoreless in the first matchup between these teams way back in October. And then really didn't play very well in this series. But I think ultimately it boils down to that. It boils down to X factors like Aaron Nesmith playing well. Who's played really well in this series is Benedict Mathurin. So, blindly going to his point total, whatever they put it at, can't be more than probably a dozen, would be a way to go and make some money player prop wise in a game 1. But yeah, this feeling out process is going to be great. And Knicks fans, they're going to freak out if they don't go back to Indiana up 2-0. So certainly the Pacers are looking to get one of these 2 games and ensure a long series.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they were up 2-0 last year, and they ended up losing it in 7, the Knicks were. So, we'll see how it goes. Madison Square Garden, they've won 2 in a row there. They started 1-3 at MSG this postseason. It's been more of a road warrior mentality than necessarily defending home court. We'll see if the Game 4, Game 6 wins at MSG can trickle on over into this series. Would you lay the 45 cents with the Knicks here? Or do you think the Pacers at plus money, the way that they mowed down Milwaukee, mowed down Cleveland, do you think that's the way to go?
I think the Knicks should win this series, but I wouldn't put it past Indiana to pull off the upset. I think it's certainly on paper a tighter series than the Western Conference Finals, and again, I think it's going to boil down to who plays best in crunch time. And certainly the Knicks with the home court advantage, with Brunson playing as well as he has down the stretch in pressure-filled situations. I think they do have an advantage. But certainly Miles Turner's played well in this series so far. If Nesmith and Nembhard play well for Indiana, they can certainly win the series and break some hearts. But look, I'll tell you what, I'm rooting for Knicks, Timberwolves, NBA Finals, so we can see Julius Randle on one side and Karl Anthony Towns on the other, and both fan bases can have fun with that.
Tony, I don't know if you were watching the first segment of the show, but you read my mind. You stole my words. That's exactly what I said off the top of the show. I said, I need a Minnesota-New York NBA Finals to get Cat versus Randall.
That'd be great.
The Villanova boys reunited. I mean, we know the Pope would love that version of the NBA Finals. I mean, either way, Villanova's a winner, right? So you can't go wrong there. No. Are you interested in the exact games market here at all? 7 and 6 are both plus 220 for Knicks Pacers, or you can go over 5.5 and lay 70 cents. Steep price, but I feel like this one's destined to go at least 6, isn't it?
I do think so. I wouldn't love laying the 6. I mean, the 70 cents. You know, that's a lot. But I do think we get 6 games here. Indiana, solid home court advantage, but I think both teams can win on the other's home court. And I think both 3-point shooting is going to play such a big role in this series. You'll have a cold shooting game from the Knicks and a cold shooting game from the Pacers hand over a contest. So I think 4-2 minimum in terms of how tight this is. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for either. So if you want to lay the over 5.5 minus 170, go for it. If not, go exacta with whoever you like in 6 or 7.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, my man. Hey, we got about a minute left, Tony. NBA Finals MVP. What is your interest in this market? Is it the route of save 20 cents and play SGA instead of playing the Thunder? Or is there a plus money candidate that you're eyeing?
No chance I play SGA at this point. Maybe once they're there, I'll change my mind. I like Jalen Brunson at plus 600 or Anthony Edwards at plus 650. And then if you really want to get cute, you can go Towns at plus 3,500 and Randall or plus 2,200 for the reasons we outlined earlier, just because they'll be facing their former teams. And if they play well in an NBA Finals, these are media members voting on them. That sentimental value will play.
I love it. I love the Brunson 6-1 play. I mean, you're getting me excited, man. You're getting me hopeful. Hopefully they don't break my heart. But I think it's a great angle. And, you know, why would you lay 45 cents at this juncture on a Finals MVP? Tony, great stuff, man. Really appreciate you joining the show. Thanks so much for the time.
Always, man. Looking forward to talking to you during the Finals, and maybe we'll get that matchup.
Absolutely. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Mejia Dinero. Check him out on Proline TV as well. Eastern Conference Finals MVP market is up. Let's look at that on the other side, because Jalen Brunson, not quite the 6-1 price that he is for the Finals MVP when it comes to this Eastern Conference Finals market. More Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo up next.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, Cashing Out continues with myself, Joe Ceraulo. As promised, Conference Finals MVP odds. Let's take a look as the program continues, because Jalen Brunson, if you're as in love with this Knicks team as I am, and you think 6-1 for the Finals MVP is in play for Jalen Brunson, that's by far the juiciest, best price you're going to find. Eastern Conference Finals, Jalen Brunson, plus 105. Sitting there at damn near even. For a Knicks team that's minus 45 cents to win the series, I got to be honest, considering how close I believe this series will be, I think that price is a little bit outlandish. I would need a little more plus money to go anyone in the Finals MVP. And look, I get it. If the Knicks win, it's probably Jalen Brunson. But this is also a team that's got Karl Anthony Towns. And this is also a team that's got Josh Hart putting up the most underestimated postseason triple doubles you've ever seen, right? Jalen Brunson is the guy. And I said it, I posted the video, Instagram, TikTok, at the Joe Ceraulo. Friday night after the win, reactionary video, I said, build the statue. Right? It's time. Build the Brunson statue. That's how much he means to this franchise. Obviously, he's got to deliver a ring first. But I do think we're heading there with Brunson. I also think to have the price be that short against a team that eliminated the Knicks last postseason, against a team that's only a plus 125 underdog in this series, and against a team that just took care of the Cavs, took them out back behind the shed and put them down in 5 games. I think that the price needs to be a little better to play Brunson in the Eastern Conference Finals for MVP. Tyrese Halliburton sitting there at 2-1. I mean, these guys have so much separation between themselves and the next man up. Then you go Siakam at 7-1, Cat at 13. The fact that Pascal Siakam is shorter than Cat, nearly half the price of Karl Anthony Towns in the conference finals MVP market, kind of shocks me. Maybe it's because they think that there's a better chance a Pacer not named Halliburton will get this than a Nick not named Brunson. But Karl Anthony Towns, to be sitting there at 13-1, look, I'll repeat and reiterate what I just said. I think Jalen Brunson, if the Knicks win, is going to get conference finals MVP. That said, Karl Anthony Towns at 13-1 is a really difficult price to pass on. And then you go, I mean, Bridges at 40-1 and Anunoby at 65-1. And Hart's the guy. If I was looking for a long shot, it would be Josh Hart over Bridges, over Anunoby. And I know that Bridges can get hot shooting and bring a little more offensively to the table than Hart. Hart had a 20-plus point game late in that Celtics series. Hart was grabbing 10 rebounds like it was nothing, putting up triple doubles in that Celtics series. If I was going to look way down the list for a long shot, I would be looking 65-1 Josh Hart. I just don't love the Brunson value there in this series. I think you got to look down the line a little bit. Otherwise, if you're not too worried about value and you're not looking for a great plus money play, then you lay the 45 cents with the Knicks to win the series. Or you go over 5.5 games, because that's where ultimately I think this series is headed. I think this series is headed for 7, and the exacta on 7s plus 220. If you go Knicks to win it, 4-3, you're going to get even better odds there. Correct score, Knicks 4-3 is 4-1. Knicks 4-2 is 6-1. Series to go 6, series to go 7, both plus 220. Folks, are you ready to get in on the action? If so, our friends over at First Bet have got you covered. Sign up now. You'll access exclusive promotions, and you can bet on hundreds of thrilling horse races, just like the Preakness we had on Saturday, every day, right from your phone or computer. Just go to firstbet.com. That's the number 1, stbet.com, and use the promo code VEASAN200 so you could score a 20% rebate on all wagers for the first 60 days up to $200. Don't miss out. Start betting today at firstbet.com. All right, last week we had the NFL schedule release. And obviously, you know, football, it's like that girl from your past who just needs your attention, your validation. Month of May, there should be nothing NFL related, but they're going to make a big TV deal out of the schedules coming out. And you know what? It worked. And maybe I'm a sucker for letting her bring me back in and draw me back in, but it worked. And I am obsessed right now with the odds in the NFC West, because I love the LA Rams, and I think that the Rams are right now a better team than the 49ers and the newly paid, $265 million man in Brock Purdy. I think the Rams are the better team, but if you look at this 49ers schedule, I mean, this is, I don't want to say joke because it's the NFL and these are all pro athletes, but this is as good as it gets for the 49ers schedule-wise. I mean, look, and obviously it's because of their record a year ago, and they draw some other opponents who struggled last season, and no one expects the Niners to struggle again to the extent that they did last season. But this schedule for the 49ers is borderline a gift. I mean, look at the way it starts, right? At Seattle. Now, they're slight favorites in that one. That would not shock me if they lost the game outright. But then they go to New Orleans, where they're going to be a sizable road favorite, right? Then they come home for Arizona, and Arizona was tough on San Fran a year ago. If they're healthy, they should win that game at home. They host Jacksonville. This is a Jacksonville team that's still figuring it out. I love the Travis Hunter pick. I don't think the Jags are there yet. They draw the Falcons at home. At Houston should be a winnable game. I mean, the Houston offensive line has a lot of question marks. And if this Niners defense, I know that there are some new names out there, but if they play like a Niners defense should, that should be a winnable game. They draw the Giants. They draw the Panthers. They draw the Browns. And the Niners have everyone who was drafted in the top 5. They're at Indy. I mean, who's going to be the quarterback for that game near Christmas in Indianapolis? Is it going to be Anthony Richardson? Is it going to be Daniel Jones? Who are we looking at in Indy by the time that game rolls around? They get the Bears at home late in the year. I mean, we're looking at Tennessee, Cleveland, New Orleans, the team that I think should be picking number 1 next year, the Giants, the Jaguars. You're getting 4 of the teams that drafted in the top 5, and the only one they don't get is a team who was drafting 4th, but I actually think is going to be pretty damn good in the New England Patriots. You're getting the teams that drafted 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th, and I have no reason to believe that any of those teams are going to be better than 6-win teams. Plus, you're getting the Saints and you're getting the Panthers. And I don't think the Panthers are going to be a cakewalk this year, but you're getting the Panthers in San Francisco. This out-of-division schedule for the 49ers is pretty damn generous. Now, will Brock Purdy excel? He lost some pieces. He lost Debo, obviously. The offensive line last year got exposed when Trent Williams was hurt. We realized that he was really carrying the left side of the O-line. The right side had some glaring weaknesses. So I don't think this team is as complete as the Rams, but they did get a gift from the league in the form of their schedule. Now let's look at this Rams team, because obviously they're in the same division. They have very similar schedules. And you look at the divisional trends, the NFC East, the schedules are a gauntlet. And a lot of that is beating up on each other in Washington, Philly, and Dallas, then draw the line, and there are my Giants. Like Billy Beane would say, there's 10 feet of crap, and then there are my Giants. But as you look at the Rams, I mean, they get the luxury. That is the AFC South. Unlike San Francisco, the Rams don't have to go to Houston. They get them at home week 1. Houston last year was a great home team, not so much on the road, so advantage Rams there. Then they get the Titans. Tough at Philly, but back home for the Colts, back home for the Niners. Rams and Niners figure should be a split. I mean, every now and then the Rams will get the best of them twice. But the Rams, what I like about this schedule is that their home games, for the most part, are all winnable. And, I mean, you look at the road games, right? Like at Atlanta late in the year, I think the Rams should be fine there. At Carolina, they should be fine. The Rams have really I'm looking at 2 games where I go, got to give them a loss. And oh, by the way, one of them, they almost beat that team in the postseason. The 2 games I'm referring to are at Philly and at Baltimore. And the Rams went to Philly, played the Eagles tougher in the playoffs than any other opponent Philly came across did. Played them tougher than Green Bay, Washington, and then the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Eagles game and the Ravens game on the road, I'd give them a loss if I was doing that. But, fortunately for the Rams, they draw Tampa in LA. You don't want to go to Tampa. Tough team. Better to get them at home. I mean, the Lions in LA right now on the way too early line for a December 14th game. Lions are a 1.5 favorite. Things could be shifted by then. I do think, even with the Niners on paper having the ever so slightly, quote-unquote, easier schedule at this juncture here in mid-May, I'm still rocking with Sean McVay and the LA Rams to go back-to-back as NFC West champions. Going to talk a little puck up next. VSiN hockey analyst and expert Jonathan Davis joins the show. You don't want to miss it. It's Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with myself, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Sunday night, right on in to your Monday morning, starting your week the best way possible. And the weekend wrapped up in what could have been exciting fashion. We had a couple of Game 7s, hoops, hockey, both ended up lopsided, but we've got the conference final set for your Stanley Cup playoffs, as promised. Who better to bring into the program and talk a little puck with than VSiN NHL analyst and expert, our guy Jonathan Davis. Follow him on Twitter at West Coast Hockey. That's HKY. Jonathan, my man, Toronto'd that Game 7, for lack of a better word. I mean, Brad Marchand, what is it with Brad Marchand and the Maple Leafs? These guys are going to see him in their nightmares for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad enough when it was in Boston and doesn't get any better in Toronto. I mean, to think that the first guy in NHL history to win 5 Game 7s against one team. He's got the second most points of any player in NHL history in the playoffs against Toronto. He averages over a point a game against Toronto. He gets a goal and 2 assists in the clincher. And for the Maple Leafs, it's another nightmarish end to a season. I mean, Joe, I'm looking at their scores in their last 5 Game 7s, and you'd almost think it was like a tennis result. You had 6-1 tonight, then 5-1, 2-1, 3-1, and 5-1 were the scores. So 1 goal scored in each of their last 5 Game 7s. And yeah, look, booed off the ice again tonight. People were leaving early. Jerseys tossed again. It was just this is good. This is an organizational nightmare for this team that's going to see some major changes likely in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's an exaggeration to call it organizational failure. It's just how many times can Toronto Maple Leafs fans live through the same heartbreak and the same disappointment over and over. It is really, truly bizarre. But Jonathan, we've got a chance. And I mean, this is such a rarity for hockey. With how grueling the playoffs are and how long the season becomes, it's difficult for teams to go to the finals or hoist the Stanley Cup and then come back the following year and attempt to do it again. We've got a chance for a rematch. Florida, Carolina in the East, Edmonton, Dallas in the West. Which team do you think has a better chance of returning to the Stanley Cup Finals that was there a year ago?
Well, I'll go with Florida. I'm very impressed with this team. You look at the balance of the Panthers. They had 15 different players, Joe, that scored a goal in this series against Toronto. They've had 17 players in all score a goal in the playoffs this year. The only team, no team has had more players score goals, different players score goals in the playoffs than the Panthers. So, yeah, I think Florida goes back. I felt that way, that the winner of this series was going to be the team that would advance to the Cup final. And I feel even better about it with the Florida Panthers. And keep in mind, the Carolina Hurricanes have not won a game in round 3 of the playoffs since they won the Cup back in 2006. They are on an 0-for-12 run in round 3 of the playoffs.
Wow, that's remarkable. So Carolina sitting here. Now, there's slight underdogs in the series. Florida's minus 125. Canes are plus 105. I would lay the 25 cents with Florida on the series. But game 1, Tuesday, quick turnaround for Florida. Carolina, they've had time to rest. I'm curious who you think has the advantage. Do you want the rest time at this point going into round 3? Or is it better for Florida? Do you think they'll be sharper with the quick turnaround? Because Florida's the underdog game 1 despite being the series favorite.
Well, yeah, look, Carolina's they're a much better home team than they are a road team. They do have that rest advantage, but then there's always that question of, what's better, rest versus rust. I went and took a quick look at the minutes of all the Florida players for tonight's game, and really nobody was overtaxed from the Panthers, and that's the luxury they had. They were up 3-0 after 2. Now Toronto did score that quick goal, and then Florida answered back quickly, up 4-1. So they were pretty much in cruise control for the final 2/3 of that final period. Carolina, I would understand betting in game 1, but I'm still getting plus money on a Panthers team. I've got, as I said, a Carolina team that's never won a 3rd round game. As long as I don't have to lay any juice on the Panthers, I would keep playing. I would play them in both games. And if as long as I can get a split, as soon as I get a win, I walk away and then move on to the games at home.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. I mean, I'm seeing right now even money at DraftKings. I'm sure you can get, plus 5 cents by shopping around, and I am right there with you, Jonathan. Have you started to dive at all?
Thing I want to point out is that, another way that you could approach it is you could always take Carolina to win game 1 and Florida to win the series. And I think you're going to get a really good price. You're going to get I think you're going to get about 2-1 on that if you played it that way.
Interesting. That's definitely something I'd keep an eye out for, especially with the Hurricanes, if the rest does end up helping them in this spot. Have you looked at all yet? And I know it's a quick turnaround from Game 7's conclusion. Anything in the prop market that has stood out to you yet? I know we still have, about close to 48 hours before this game gets going. Or at the least, is there any player that, you've kept an eye on when these two teams square off that you might be looking to target throughout the series?
Good question. Sasha Barkov, Alexander Barkov, has the most goals of any Florida player against Carolina in his career. And he's only got 8. He does lead them in career points with 37. But for me, and we haven't seen the numbers yet for points and assists, but Florida's third line of Eetu Lesterainen, Brad Marchand, and Anton Lundell has been their best line in the playoffs. And so once I saw those are guys that I would target on a night in and night out basis for the Florida Panthers. Now, on the Carolina side, Andrei Svechnikov has led them in goals for the playoffs with 7. He has yet to score a goal in his career against Florida goalie Sergei Bobrovsky.
Wow. And Bobrovsky, look, he's just one of those guys who, when he gets hot, it feels like there's no stopping him. And watching him 4 out of these last 5 games against Toronto, he has been absolutely sensational. It feels like Florida, they're only minus 125 on the series. There's good reason to feel more confident about Florida moving on than any other team of the 4 remaining. Let's talk Western Conference Finals a little bit. Edmonton, Dallas. The series is a pick'em. Dallas is minus 125 for Game 1. What are your thoughts on how to approach Game 1 and then, of course, on how to approach the series?
Well, the Dallas Stars have had a history of not winning Game 1s. They did win Game 1 against the Winnipeg Jets. I think they snapped, and I think they were 0 for 8. As good as Pete DeBoer is in Game 7, 9-0, I think he was 0-8 prior to that Game 1 win against Winnipeg. It really is a coin flip. And I think for me, I may just start, I will probably look at some player props. Look, the Edmonton Oilers, for them, no question. The mission for every team is to get to the Cup final. So close last year, just a goal away were the Edmonton Oilers. And they look better than they were last year, better than they were at the beginning and through 80% of this year. They got through that first round without having Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl lead them. Bruce Cassidy, the Golden Knights coach, said, if I told you that we held those guys, I think it was like 5 goals in the series and we lost, you'd think I was crazy. But that's how good Edmonton has been. On the Dallas side, look, it's revenge for them. They lose that series last year to Edmonton. Stuart Skinner stood on his head. The one thing that would push me to Dallas in Game 1 is just Stuart Skinner early on in a series isn't as good as he is later. It's now 12 or 13-1, Joe, games 4 through 7 going back to last year. Those numbers are insane. And that only loss came in Game 7 to the Florida Panthers in the finals. So maybe you want to attack Dallas early on and then go to Edmonton a little later. Now, one final thing on Skinner. I was on with Mitch and Paulie on Friday. I think Mitch has Skinner 300-1 for Conn Smythe Trophy. It's now down to about 100-1. I still think it's worth a shot to grab Skinner for the Conn Smythe at that price.
Yeah, it's a better price than McDavid plus 350 to do it again. Is there anyone, you have 30 seconds, Jonathan, anyone else in the Conn Smythe market that catches your eye right now before these shorten up after this round?
I would maybe take a flyer on Thomas Harley, the defenseman who scored the overtime goal for Dallas to send Winnipeg home. He's been really good ever since the Four Nations tournament. He's had a good playoff for them. No one's really stood out. And I guess, look, the way Jake Ottinger has played, if Dallas is to get to the Cup final, it's going to be because of Ottinger, I believe. So take a look at I can't remember off the top of my head what the price is on Ottinger, but those 75 are the two guys right now for me.
For Harley.
Yeah. No. And Ottinger,
Great
I don't remember what he was. Yeah. All right, bud.
VSiN hockey expert Jonathan Davis. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at West Coast Hockey. That's HKY. More Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo up next.